Greetings, citizens! My name is FailureToReport, and today we're going to be talking about the brand spanking new Crusader Industries Ares. We're going whaling, boys! Oh yeah! Now, it's no secret to anybody that's been around the channel for just about any amount of time that arguably my favorite ship manufacturer in Star Citizen is Crusader Industries. I've always been a huge fan of meatbag hauling in space games, so the Genesis Starliner obviously had appeal to me in terms of purpose. And then came the ever so amazing Hercules. I absolutely love these ships. Its aggressive yet sleek design had me throwing cheating glances from the cockpit of my Vanguard almost immediately when the concepts were revealed. So when you combine that with its role of a heavy transport and gunship bomber, it really reminded me of the C-17 and the AC-130, and what can I say? I am a huge sucker for ships that remind me of military assets. Then there's also the Mercury Starrunner. Its design has been compared to the Ebon Hawk, the Millennium Falcon, but more than its similarity to some sci-fi icons, the cockpit view was top tier, best in show work out of CIG. So when you combine that with a solid cargo hold, and the Mercury instantly became my ideal daily driver soccer mom van. Then yesterday came the first Crusader Industries fighter. But while some were expecting maybe a new light fighter or even some kind of Super Hornet competitor, instead we got a full-on heavy fighter. But even then, it was something that broke the mold for Star Citizen. Now, I'm obviously a sucker for Crusader's design styling. The folks working on those ships are doing a damn good job so far. But what really made the Ares stand out was her gimmick. The Ares brochure called it the ultimate large ship hunter, and as the first non-capital ship to wield a gargantuan size 7, the Ares is indeed the first ship from Cloud Imperium to truly punch above its weight class in a literal sense, and not a marketing one. One of the things I found interesting, though also slightly irritating looking back at when it was used to describe the Vanguard, was John Crew calling the Ares like an A-10 Warthog. Now if you somehow aren't familiar with the A-10, it's an American close air support plane originally designed as a tank killer to counter the Soviets' heavily tank-based doctrine in the event of a showdown between NATO and the USSR. What made the A-10 so unique was that she sported a massive 30mm 7-barrel Gatling cannon. You see, the Air Force asked for the plane to be designed and built around the 30mm cannon. And the iconic A-10 is what we got, and she truly shares a very similar resemblance to the Crusader Ares, who sports a massive size 7 weapon in which the ship was built around, coming with either a laser cannon for the Ares Ion or a Gatling cannon for the Ares Inferno. We don't yet have a lot of specific information on this ship, outside of the obvious things that we can glean from the brochure. She's a single-seater fighter with no interior, 4 size 5 missiles on each variant, size 2 medium components throughout the ship, and a profile beam and length very similar to the Cutlass. The fact of the matter is, this ship concept sale is still fairly early, so we don't have a Q&A yet, and Cloud Imperium did a really weak job of talking about the Ares during Inside Star Citizen yesterday, saying nearly less than the damn brochure we already had. Now, if there is one thing on this channel I am fanatically not a fan of, it's speculation on ships based on their concepts. I know that some content creators, they just love them a concept sale because it lets them feed on the community's tendency to dream about future gameplay mechanics and so forth. While some people might enjoy theory crafting ships like the Ares, it's a major issue with me because of the damage it can do. It's one thing to sit around and talk about how interesting the Ares is with your friends in a private space, but when you're on a public platform encouraging people to start interpreting how this ship is going to fit into the game before we know almost literally anything about it besides the most bare bones basic specs, you get chaos. And that leads us to the second segment of this video. While there really isn't much to talk about the Ares right now until CIG gives out more information, the effects of this ship are already being felt among the community despite the ship not even being in game. You know, I think one of the most enjoyable things about being a critic and a whale is having access to the concierge forums and chat. These two things have been an absolute gem over the last few years on multiple occasions because some of the most entitled crybaby pay-to-win stuff dwells within. When Cloud Imperium introduced ship purchases in-game back in 3.3, it was a field day for people like me getting to sit back and watch all the entitled whales who are paying to time skip cry foul about ship prices.
Chris needs to make it take over a year for people to earn an Orion,
some cried. Whales screamed and threw fits because suddenly the things they paid for... not paid for. The ships they got as added bonus for their pledge to support the game suddenly didn't seem so time-gated and exclusive. With the sale of the Ares concept, it's been a blast because all of a sudden, a million voices cried out,
"But my Idris!
The Ares is gonna kill all the capital ships! It's not fair!" I can't help but laugh at the amount of people who are throwing a little tantrum about the Ares when it's not even through the Q&A phase, and all based off of a few content creators stressing parts of a ship brochure which, yeah, those are really known to be the most accurate things in Star Citizen. There's a thread up right now where some backer posted a real darling of a spreadsheet trying to compare the Ares to the Vanguard, where they post the two ships against each other and doctor the crap out of the way it's structured and what information they chose to compare, completely neglecting a variety of things like, the Vanguard's entire nose cluster weapons. Hey, why include those? It's only 4 weapons. We don't need that. Or the fact that the Vanguard has an interior, range, beds, and so on. While this concept sale highlights yet again the grimy underside of some of the project's biggest supporters, I can say this doesn't apply to all concierge members. There are many pushing back against this knee-jerk, "but my capital ship" tantrum fest. But the fact of the matter is, we know very little about this ship still. Its damage potential isn't even that high compared to other ships. The only thing it's truly sporting over the other heavy hitters already in game is that the size 7 is probably going to have more range than some of the others. I just find it interesting to watch how quickly some people lash out over their entitlement in this game being threatened. The same people who talk down to peasants that they should be happy with their lot in life because they can't afford to be space verse high roller citizens. They suddenly flip to open revolt over the idea that some $200 fighter might be a threat to their precious whale fleet. Those same people who tell space trucker citizens maybe they should hire these noblemen with their expensive warships to protect their hulls when the trucking community starts complaining about combat or griefing. I've been looking forward to seeing more Crusader Industries ships for a while. So when word got leaked that CIG was going to be revealing a new ship rumored to be a fighter, I didn't think I could be more excited because it was going to be more Crusader and something besides hauling boxes for the manufacturer. It's no secret among anyone familiar with me or the channel that I've been a major Vanguard fanboy for a very long time. Even when it was an absolute mess, even when it was underpowered or nerfed, because I strongly favor slow, tanky, heavy-hitting fighters. So yes, when I saw the Ares was going to be a size 7 heavy fighter, I didn't think I could be more happy with this concept. And then I saw how worried and upset the entitled whales were over it, and with that, Cloud Imperium finished off my 2019 flawlessly. Thank you, Chris Roberts. You done good. While the data mining and leaks rumored the Ares was going to be going flight ready, it seems they were incorrect, or perhaps CIG is waiting until later, like when 3.8 goes live. We know that the Argo Mole sale is still lingering, and we know that CIG has been actively working on the Ares after the last week's ship discussion. So it's still possible we could see the Ares tucked under the Christmas tree, maybe? But as of right now, all we know is what we have on the Ares brochure and the sale page until more information comes our way. With all that said, I'm honestly really interested to see what happens with the Ares. It looks interesting, it's the kind of fighter I really enjoy, especially since the Hurricane turned into a glass cannon for 2 compared to the Vanguard having the firepower controlled by just the pilot, and the Vanguard's weapons feeling kind of underwhelming because of being stuck using fixed nose clusters and only a size 4 gimbaled chin. I think it's a bit of a bummer that the Ares doesn't have any interior or a bed, but it's fair to say that not every fighter should. It just limits the stuff you can do with it compared to ships like the Vanguard and Defender with their interiors, beds, lockers, and so on. I think, honestly, that the Ares is an interesting addition to Star Citizen. It's something new as far as fighters go, and the game is still pretty lacking in the heavy fighter department anyways. I just think A lot of people are acting kind of ridiculous over this concept when there's so little information known or available at this time. But people are going to act like spoiled children when they feel like their toys aren't the top shiny anymore, no matter if it's the Ares or something entirely different that CIG releases. So I'm honestly looking forward to seeing more information on this ship. And damn sure looking forward to seeing it in game, because hot goddamn is it fucking beautiful. As always, citizen, I am Failure to Report. I know a lot of you have been asking me what I thought on the Ares, and now that it's for sale to all backers and not just concierge, I think it's going to be interesting to see just how the overall community handles it. With that, I will see you next time, citizen. Oh, and screw you, CIG, for not selling a Crusader Industries complete pack. You really suck for that.